The following featured presentation is part of the Skywalking Network.
Hey, Bryn.
Yes?
Totally tell me everything.
Totally tell you everything about what?
About cosplay! Excited to talk about cosplay with you. And actually, at this point, we should welcome everyone back to Totally Tell Me Everything.
Yeah, after our hiatus.
Yes, it's been a minute, everyone. Life sometimes finds a way to get in the way, right? But we are back. We are excited. We have episodes all lined up, or at least topics all lined up. Topic. It's our favorite word. So you guys are listening to the show where we learn about the world, about each other, and about ourselves, because each month we choose one topic and explore it in depth with 3 questions. So this month, like we said at the top, it's cosplay. And I'm doing this with my best friend, Bryn. Hey, Bryn.
Hi, Sarah. It's so good to be back. And I'm so glad we're finally doing cosplay.
Yeah, this is like one of our first topics that we wrote down at the very beginning, right?
Yeah. And I think when we first met each other or started to kind of know of each other, cosplay was a really big part of what I knew about you and was something that I hadn't yet started kind of really doing.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think this is like a little bit of our origin story, even if we didn't realize it.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, yeah, I love how these conversations like evolve. So first, let's just define what cosplay is. Like, what is cosplay and how did that term start? So first of all, cosplay kind of comes from the 2 words costume play, and this creation of the term cosplay, it's attributed or often attributed to Nobuyuki Takahashi, who is a Japanese journalist who may have coined that word in an article after attending the 1984 World Science Fiction Convention, which is Worldcon in Los Angeles. So many of you who have been going to conventions since like the 70s know what Worldcon is. I believe at one of the Worldcons, that's when Star Wars had a debut, like in 1976, one of the Worldcons. So yeah. So it's been around a long time, and people have been doing it before that term started, right? Like basically getting into outfits. Well, cosplay is like a performance art in which, you know, people dress in costumes and makeup and represent characters from, let's say, anime, video games, TV, and film. And also, in addition to creating these authentic costumes, the cosplayers can often perhaps act in character if they're that into it. And it also, the subject matter or what they're cosplaying really kind of represents a portion of what they feel themselves, right? That's how they are representing the character that they love by becoming that character.
I love that element of it, that sort of nuance of it's not just dressing up in a costume because it's fun or because you like the character or whatever, and it's like personal.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, to me, that's the whole point of cosplay. That's why I started doing it, because I just wanted to, it was a way to represent a character that you love, but then also show off that love to the world.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with question number 1, which is, what is our connection with cosplay?
I think you should go first because you've been doing it longer than I have.
Okay. So I'm going to dial it back to 2007, and this is when Star Wars Celebration 7 happened in Los Angeles. So it was right in our backyard, and also, this is also when the first time I attended San Diego Comic-Con with Richard. And so at both of those conventions that year, I saw people cosplaying. Specifically, I saw Slave Leias. There was a bunch of Slave Leias, like all these women in the Slave Leia outfit, and they looked very pretty. I was like, oh, wow, that's like gorgeous. I was impressed. And basically, I thought that looked like a really good goal to get in shape and have fun. Like, I wanted to be a Slave Leia because I felt it would help me, get in shape. And I've always been one of those girls, like, even in high school, I've always been one of those people who's kind of concerned about her weight, always yo-yoing like back and forth between a little too chubby and like not quite as thin as I wanted to be. And partly I attribute that to our culture, obviously.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Which, I mean, because like in high school, I was a freaking size 4 and I thought I was fat.
Yeah, no.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But regardless, I decided, okay, I wanted to do this. And in 2009, I jumped into the Slave Leia craze and did that for San Diego Comic-Con 2009. And I ended up in a video. Matt is an artist on his YouTube channel. He was doing an art video, how to draw Slave Leia. And he had a bunch of us Slave Leias like come and do this video and like and have a pillow fight.
Oh boy, yes, realism.
Yeah, right, realism. But I mean, it was fun, and it did get people's attention. And let's say I've progressed a lot since then, but I still had a lot of fun.
That's
doing
great.
That.
That's great.
Yeah.
When you were doing it, when not necessarily the pillow fight, but just being at the convention and wearing your costume and all of that, like, what did it feel like?
Oh, so I mean, I felt like I had to hold in my stomach all day, so I got a really good tummy workout.
That's exhausting.
But then also, yeah. But also, like, it was really a study in people, because San Diego Comic-Con itself is super crowded. And then you get one Slave Leia, you get a couple photographers like taking pictures. You get 2 Slave Leias, you get 4 photographers. You get 12 Slave Leias, you get an exponential amount of people around you. So like there was a moment where, there was a time that we were all supposed to gather at the big Jabba. Like
kind of a photo op.
Yes, a regal something, Jabba photo op. And so once we all had congregated, and I think at that point there was like 10 of us, right? And we were on top of Jabba's dais, so we could see the people spreading out. And literally there was just like a mob of people, like just trying to take pictures and stuff by the time we had all gathered. So that was really interesting. And then also when we went to a different location to take more photographs, because that was basically the point of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. We would go in a single file line through the convention, and you had like cosplayers dressed up as like the royal guards, the Gamorrean guards, and things like that, like all lining the way so that we could walk through, and just protected basically. Yeah. Which was very nice. Yeah. And I experienced that a couple times, like at Star Wars Celebration 2012 as well. So it was fun. And then you kind of, you talk and you make friends with the other Leias around you, because you all have the same, you're like-minded people, it's really fun. Yeah. You're totally into Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah. So I enjoyed it. And I mean, it was fun to get the attention too.
Sure.
If that I don't want that all the time, but it was really fun at the time to do that.
That's great. That's great. How many different times did you wear that costume to an event?
I think it was about 4 times.
Okay.
And I want to say by 2012, I had really gotten into really good shape. I got like the lowest weight I ever gotten. And that's when I debuted my JediTink outfit that I had made and the Slave Leia at Star Wars Celebration Orlando in 2012. And so alternate days I did both of those costumes twice. So
cool.
that was really fun, and I just felt like awesome. And I had reached my goal weight, basically. So it was like, woohoo! I felt amazing.
Yeah, that's great. JediTink is just still one of my all-time favorites.
Yes. Yeah. So JediTink is the Twitter handle I came up with in 2009, and I decided to learn how to sew, or really relearn how to sew, because when I was like a teenager, my mom cursorily taught me how to sew, but
Sure.
if you don't keep it up, you don't do it. Anyway, so I learned how to sew so I could create this JediTink costume, which is a mashup cosplay. And that's what I debuted at Star Wars Celebration 6 in Orlando. And I actually won a judge's award. So that was amazing.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
We're probably going all over the place, but how did you take any classes to learn how to sew, or what did you do?
Oh, so I did take a few, like at my local Joann's. I did take a few classes. I'm trying to remember if I watched YouTube at that point.
2009 or 2012?
2000. Oh, I must have. Yeah, 2011, 2012. I think I must have. But I do remember specifically, like, I did a sketch. I did a sketch. I colored it. I looked at various things, like, on Etsy shops and stuff to incorporate in my sketch, like my gauntlets, wrist gauntlets, and things like that. But, like, the skirt and the tabard, like the Jedi tabards, I wanted specifically to make those out of all these fun fabrics. And so Richard and I took a trip down to downtown Los Angeles and the fabric district and found some amazing fabric, including some dark green suede, which is really hard to find. Yeah. But that's what I used for the Jedi tabard. And wow, that was a pain to sew.
It'll kill like a needle, right? Like it's
yes.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right needle, exactly. Yeah. I learned real quick. I was like, ooh, I got to get heavy duty needles.
Yeah.
But that's when I really found that I loved, like, cosplay, by definition is embodying a character, right? That's very, like, creating authentic costumes. And I found that I really liked creating my own costume that was my own character mashup. Like, I found that more fun than trying to be super authentic and super detailed to, like, an on-screen character.
Yeah. I still kind of go back and forth with what I want in that realm. Sometimes I'm like, I want to, like, make this my own. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish that I could look exactly the way that person looks. Like, I wish that this was totally screen accurate. I want both sometimes. Not necessarily the same character, but yeah.
I get it. But yeah, I just find it more creative and fun to be a little more loose with it. Like when, like Ursula, I'd rather not be Ursula from the film. I'd rather be Ursula, like the dressed up, I'm going to a masquerade ball Ursula, right?
Yeah.
And have that kind of outfit. It's kind of a thing. Yeah. So, but Bryn, we have to go back to your cosplay experiences. What is your connection with cosplay?
Well, I always enjoyed dressing up in costumes, but my first actual sort of experience with cosplay was probably because of you and Richard and the episode of Skywalking Through Neverland from way back in the early days, where you did an episode that had a segment called "Cosplay Does Not Equal Consent."
That's right. That was our 3rd episode, I believe.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. That was the first one I ever listened to, I think, but I don't think I listened to it right when it came out. I think I just was, anyway. But that episode and hearing about what you were doing and what all the other women on that show were doing in cosplay, I thought, that sort of sounds interesting. I kind of want to maybe think about doing that. Anyway, so the first time I ever made a costume to wear to something like a convention was the 2015 Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, which was still is only the only Star Wars celebration I've been to, because I missed all the rest of them. And then they postponed the one that's coming up and hopefully will still happen.
Right. Okay. Yes.
Right. Yes. So, and that costume for 2015 Star Wars Celebration was a mashup. So, and I think that I was inspired by your JediTink mashup, which I had never thought about mashing up characters together, which I just love. So, long sentence to say, my first cosplay was Brave Leia. So it's kind of a take, kind of a swing off of Slave Leia, but it was Brave Leia. So because I was a redhead growing up, and when I saw the movie Brave, it really spoke to me. I decided to mix up Merida and Princess Leia from the original Star Wars movie. So I definitely bit off way more than I could chew with this first attempt, especially the fact that I can sew a little bit, but not a lot. And I had quite a lot of like lofty ideas about what I wanted it to be. And then I, of course, put it off and then ran out of time and freaked out. But
this is like the life of a cosplayer. You're right in it.
Yeah. But so like I always try to start early, and then I just end up, putting things off and then rushing. But it was still a really fun process to do. And I found that I like to sort of do a combination of finding like thrifted items or stuff I already have, and then mixing that with things that are sewn or things that are made. And so, so I like thrifted a sort of short teal dress that was kind of cute. And then I have a seamstress friend who was willing to help me. She made the white sort of underdress. So it was sort of like a white underdress that was long, floor length, and sleeves, like long sleeves, kind of bell sleeves. And then we put the teal dress over it. And it was like, it kind of worked. We'll put a picture somewhere, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. We'll put it on our Instagram. And also in the show notes, we'll definitely... No, that was so cute. And I happened to be wearing JediTink that day at Star Wars Celebration, because that was our very first podcast stage. Skywalking Through Neverland on the podcast stage at Star Wars Celebration. And you came, and I know a bunch of people, we all took pictures together. And I mean, you really helped us out too. You were one of the volunteers.
I did. That was really fun. I helped when you were doing your show. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I made like accessories to kind of bring together the Brave and the Leia. And then I do know that I really prefer the making of the accessories, the little touches.
Oh.
I really like that part. I wish that I could just have somebody do the main part and then I add all the sort of touches. But that was fun. But I also, it was the first time I ever went to a convention ever at all. And I was feeling very just unsure of myself in this wacky costume idea that I made up. And I was meeting a ton of the listeners for the first time. And I didn't really know you guys that well yet. So the whole thing was just, yeah.
And you were by yourself, right? You were by yourself?
And I was by myself, yes.
Yeah.
Which, that happens a lot because whatever. I didn't have in real life friends who were doing this yet. But it was a really good experience. And one of the things that I do want us to talk about at some point during this show is the posing.
Oh.
Which is a really important element of pulling off your cosplay in public, is you have to be able to embody the character. And a lot of that is the posing.
Yes. Something that you probably didn't work on right before, so like,
I tried a little bit, but I was just like, I feel so dumb. I don't know what to do here.
You stand in front of a mirror and you just gotta work it out.
Yeah. And I definitely didn't pay enough attention to that to begin with, yeah.
I think I had a similar experience as the Slave Leia because I don't think I did really. And then, but I had the benefit of when I did it, there was like, 10 other Slave Leias around me and I watched them and I was like, oh, okay. Like, so, okay, stick your hips out. Let's do, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So, and do something with your chain or whatever you want, things like that.
Yeah. You had mentors at your immediate disposal.
Yes. Whereas there was no other Brave Leias.
There really wasn't.
But hands on your hips, right? Hands on your hips. You could do
that.
Yeah.
If you're Merida, Leia does that and Merida does it too. Yeah. And I just was like not prepared. I needed you to be already my girlfriend and come over and show me and tell me what to do. Yeah.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. Oh, nice. Well, I just want to bring up a fun moment that just reminded me. Because when I was on stage at Star Wars Celebration Orlando for the costume contest, there was, basically I was in the Jedi category because I was a JediTink. And so there was this woman who went so basically I'd practiced some lightsaber skills. Richard is really good at them. He swings his lightsaber around, he twists it, whatever. And I kind of tried to do that and I was okay, but I didn't have enough time to practice a lot. So the woman who went ahead of me, she was dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi. She had actually had like beard hair, like physically glued to her face. She looked amazing. Wow. She was this Asian woman. She went out there right before me, and you have like 30 seconds to do a little thing on stage. So she went out right before me. She did some freaking amazing lightsaber skills, like spinning around and twisting and spinning the lightsaber. And I'm like, all right, I ain't doing my lightsaber skills after that. So I just leaned into the Tinkerbell.
Sure.
Right? I came out there. I like did my little Tinkerbell poses. I blew some kisses. Like I just was full on Tink as a Jedi.
Yeah.
And I think that helped.
Yeah, that was the right move. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was not going to spin my lightsaber around my sad little spin. So yeah. There you go.
And that's when you ended up winning an award?
I did. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I didn't win like best in category, but I won a judge's award. I think it was most sparkly Jedi. But I got like an actual physical, like a medal kind of thing, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's totally legit.
Yeah, I was happy.
I love JediTink. JediTink is the best.
Oh, I know. Me too. All right. Now I kind of wish I could be like Scarlet JediTink or Captain Marvel JediTink or some. I don't know. Have to incorporate the Marvel somehow, but I haven't figured out a good way to do that.
It'll when the time is right, the idea will come.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the very first time we cosplayed and didn't know it.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Like, where was the roots of our cosplay born?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Well, now I have two answers.
Ooh. Okay. Do you want to say one and then I'll say one?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's have, because I kind of have two answers too. So you go first.
Okay. So when you ask what the root of our cosplay is, it just makes me think of underoos. Do you know what underoos are?
I do. Now, you have the benefit of being in the
older.
70s.
Yes. Child of the 70s.
Being alive in the 70s.
Exactly.
Where underoos were.
A thing, yes. Underoos and garanimals. I had one set of underoos, and it was Wonder Woman.
Oh.
And oh my gosh. Oh, it was the best. So I definitely wore those around the house just as an outfit all the time. My brother had Spider-Man, or not Spider-Man, maybe Superman. And we would just be like, let's put our underoos on and run around the house. And so, I was maybe 4, 5, 6. I forget. Right in there, though. And
that's awesome.
Childhood is a time when people are totally okay with kids wearing costumes and living out their superhero lives or their princess lives or their knights in shining armor or their dragon or whatever they want to do. So it was definitely like thinking about cosplay and embodying the character was definitely
Yes.
Wonder Woman Underoos sometime in the 70s.
That is awesome. I have a similar experience, only in the 80s, because I saw Superman when I was 4, and I freaking fell in love with that film. This is the Christopher Reeve best Superman. I'm just going to say it. And so my parents gave me Superman pajamas when I was like 5 or something, and I would not take those off. And it had a cape. It had a freaking cape. So I was like running around the house in my cape. I just loved it. There's something about capes. I loved it. And then, so that, talk about embodying the character. I loved that. But I do have to bring up, I would say my very first cosplay that I put together. Do you remember the movie Mrs. Brisby and the Rats of Nim? Or the Rats of Nim?
Yeah, I remember the movie. I read the book too, yeah.
Yes, yeah, I did both as well. And as a kid, I saw the movie first. And so I just wanted to be Mrs. Frisbee. And in the movie, she's Mrs. Brisby. In the book, she's Mrs. Frisbee. So I basically found, I think a red shirt, and I tied it around my neck.
Yes,
and then
like her little shawl.
Yes, her little,
Yes.
she's got a little shawl, like a red shawl, but it's like a red cape, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
And then I found, I think I took some string or something and tied it around so I had a little tail.
Oh.
And I was Mrs. Frisbee. I was running around the house as Mrs. Frisbee, my 2 elements of my costume. But for all I cared, I was the character.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. It was so fun. So that's, I think I was like 5, right? Something like that. Yeah. 6. Who knows?
Sweet.
Yeah. So what about you? You said you had another moment.
Well, so I wasn't thinking about the idea that what was a costume that I put together myself early.
Well, it doesn't, right.
But what came to mind is I definitely remember my mom would sew my Halloween costumes, and she made me, for kindergarten Halloween, she made me a beautiful green and gold princess dress that I wore to school. And I just remember feeling, I'm a princess. Look at me. And that was like sort of the first costume that I really remember having. And I really felt princessy.
I think that counts because the costume made you feel a certain way.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's the important element.
Yeah, I think, thank you. Thank you for fitting me in. I think that, that was the only time I ever won a costume contest or won an award for a costume. I was given a badge for most beautiful costume that day, and I felt very special and important.
That is so cool. Oh.
To be fair, I think that was the only actual costume contest I ever was in. So.
Oh. But still. You know what? Chalk it up to your kindergarten self. That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
I have a similar thing. My mom, she'd take me in like August to Joanne, and we'd pour through like the costumes, the patterns, right? The pattern books.
Yeah.
And I'd get to pick. So like one year I was a unicorn, one year I was a bunny rabbit, one year. But I specifically remember one year I wanted to be Mary Poppins for Halloween in 2nd grade. But not just any Mary Poppins. No. I wanted to be the Jolly Holiday Mary Poppins in her white dress, white and red, right? With the red cummerbund. And that is what I wanted. And it happened to be my first communion that year, which you have a white dress, right?
Yes, you do.
So we had that white dress. I think my mom made it. Yeah. So then for Halloween, we just added a red cummerbund, and we made, we fashioned the hat, and I had a little umbrella, and I was the cutest damn Mary Poppins ever.
Oh, that's
and
so
my dad
rad.
was a chimney sweep.
Oh, I love that. I have seen pictures of you in this costume, and I adore it. And of course, you have to be the Jolly Holiday Mary Poppins because she's so beautiful. That's just elegant and beautiful. I was the other Mary Poppins once, but not my choice. Not my choice. I was in. There was a musical play that my dance studio did every year, where there were lots of different characters, and as you got older, you kind of evolved into different characters, and I evolved into the age that Mary Poppins would be played. So I played Mary Poppins with the carpet bag and the black
and her
hat
umbrella and her black
and the
hat
umbrella. Yep.
with cherries on it and everything. Oh yeah, cool.
Oh, I didn't have cherries on my hat, but yes. It
Little
was
flowers.
It was cobbled together. Yeah, it was cobbled together from whatever we had, but that was really fun. I liked being Mary Poppins. I had great spats on my tap shoes or my character shoes. White spats. Nice. That was fun.
Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. I love these stories. I love getting to know you.
I know. That's
so
the
much
best
fun.
part.
Yes. All right. So for now, do we still cosplay?
I find that I've had opportunities to cosplay from home.
Oh, okay.
Like the first year of the pandemic, 2020, like holiday time 2020, when you and Richard and I believe some of the people who did Force Fest did a watch of the holiday special, the original holiday special.
Oh, yeah. The Star Wars Celebration Facebook group.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yes.
Cool, yeah. And so I got an opportunity to throw together my Acmina from the Star Wars holiday special, which, is B. Arthur, who is fantastic.
You looked amazing.
I got to do that. So that actually is one of the cosplays that I've worn more than once, because I seem to be like a one-time, one-hit wonder with cosplays. I only wore that Brave Leia costume that one time. I never wore it ever again. I have a Rey that I've worn. Actually, the Rey I've worn a few times, but then, Acmina I've worn at least 3 times. Maybe, and sometimes not the full thing, but I've worn Acmina a few times.
Yeah, because because, Disneyland reopened, and so for Life Day just this past year, you came as Acmina.
Yeah, it was kind of more of a Disneybound of her, just because I wasn't sure how full costume I was going to be allowed, and I wanted to be comfortable and warm, and part of that costume isn't terribly warm. So, but yeah, I did. It was fun. I didn't wear my mask, my wig. I didn't wear my wig because I thought that's going to be a beacon to the security people to tell me I can't wear it. So, and plus wigs are very uncomfortable.
They are. Yeah, they can be.
Yeah.
Definitely. Honestly, cosplay really, because it's, play, really brings out the kid in you. And I mean, back when I was doing more runDisney races, when they were over here in Anaheim, that's kind of what my cosplay turned into. Instead of being super, I must do an amazing cosplay outfit, instead, I went to functional cosplay, because on a race you're running over 6 miles or over 13 miles, and you have to make sure that you're comfortable and pins aren't everywhere, or you have to make sure you have the right bra, the right support for running that long or walking, whatever it is. They had to be super lightweight and breathable. And so I actually really liked creating a costume with parameters, having those kind of okay, it must be this and this and this, but still be as creative as you can within those boundaries. That's how I like to create things. I like boundaries, and then seeing what I can do and how creative I can be with those boundaries. Yeah.
It's like that. What's that fashion reality show? Project Runway.
Yes. Yeah, because oftentimes they're given some kind of parameters or a model. Yeah, assignments, exactly. I mean, because that's what the whole fashion world is generally about. You have to fit either a specific person or a specific type, or, things like that.
Or if it's a job, we're trying to make activewear, and these are the colors we're using, or this is the fabric or whatever. It's fun. That's cool. It's like school, but more fun.
Yeah. And then now with, Disney, you mentioned it a little bit before, but like at Disneyland and Disney World, adults are not allowed to dress in costume. Kids can, but adults can't. But we've gotten around that by Disneybounding, which is basically embodying the character, but in a more subtle way, like just using the character colors and maybe some jewelry that hints at the actual character you're doing. So, or a dapper version of a character.
Yes, I love Disneybounding or Marvel bounding or Harry Potter bounding or whatever bound you want to do. It's such a great alternative. And I if I had done some research about anything for the show, which I didn't, I would have researched bounding because I follow you probably follow her too. An Instagram account called the Disneybounder, and I don't know where the term came from originally, but there's just so much richness that it's one of those things where she puts together, often it's just pictures of people who do Disneybounds, which is great and so fun to see the creativity. And she'll put themes up where all people doing a certain character or a certain film or television show or all sorts of things. But she also does those, I think it's like a polyvore thing or something where it's a website that has, I'm going to sound like an old dumb lady, but it's a website, I think, that has where you could choose different like articles of clothing that actually exist in the world and accessories and other things, and you put them together in like a picture.
Yes. Oh, there's a website that does that?
I don't know. I would think there is because people do it all the time, but maybe people are just good with computers. Like I'm not. Granny doesn't do good computer stuff. Anyway, I feel like there is a website where you can do this, but I don't know.
Awesome.
Maybe it's an app. I don't know. Anyway, so she'll put together bounds for characters and just post those in this, on Instagram, and it's really cool. It's really, really fun and cute.
Wow. I love that. And I gotta say, like when I take the time to Disneybound, especially if you have a friend who's doing something like that with you, it is a heck of a lot more fun. Like Teresa, when she came into town for her first trip to Disneyland after it reopened, she was like, we have to do a Disneybound. And so we decided on Little Mermaid and Flounder.
Yeah.
And so she was Flounder and I was Ariel. And we dressed in the colors, and I made masks that, like Matt worked, because at that point we had to wear masks everywhere. And even the characters at Disneyland, like, noticed us and, like, did little motions for, like, fins for their hands. Like, they recognized us, or, like, the fins of a mermaid. It was so cool.
That's so sweet. I love that. My brother and I don't have a lot of people I can Disneybound with, who I go to Disneyland with. You're basically my main person to do that. But before the pandemic, my brother and I went to Disneyland together, and we hadn't been together since the 80s probably. And he was so cool. And I said, hey, would you want to do a thing called Disneybounding where we kind of use our regular clothes but we look sort of like the characters? And he was like, sure, yeah, what are you thinking? And so I had been thinking a lot about Bianca and Bernard from The Rescuers.
Yeah.
Even though they're a couple, and obviously I'm not a couple with my brother, but I thought that it would be easy to do. They were just like bold colors. We could have tops that are the colors of their outfits, and then there's hats.
She has that pillbox hat too. Yeah, that very distinct pillbox purple hat.
Yeah, and all we needed for him was a brown, like newsy cap or whatever.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then I ended up being just too extra and actually made myself a little cape and made the pillbox hat. And so I looked way more like a costume but whatever, everybody let me do it anyway. But so we had the same thing where cast members, not character cast members, but just people who, just cast members would recognize us, and they'd say, oh, it's Bianca and Bernard. And that was so satisfying. It was very, very fun.
Cool. Oh, I love that. By the way, at our recent Sweethearts Night, we saw Bernard and Bianca, the costumed characters.
Oh, I forget that they have them. It's amazing that what they have in the back.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but that was really cool to see them.
Sweet.
They were very roly-poly and cute.
That night looked like it was really, really fun. That looked really great.
Yes, I'll talk a little more about it later.
Cool.
But yeah. All right. Wow. Oh my gosh. It's so cool like learning all about these these times. I can just imagine you as a little girl in your green and gold princess dress.
Yeah, she made it like a little, like a square neckline.
Ooh, yes. I'm getting Merida vibes.
Yeah, right. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Because she has a square neckline as well.
She does. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. This was a very 70s green and gold kind of look. It's not very Merida, but yes.
That's okay. I love it. All right, so we're going to move on to question 2. Even though we've asked each other a bunch of questions, that was all part of question 1. So we're going to move on to question 2, which is, what do we want to learn about cosplay? And you will be happy to know that I did not do a huge historic deep dive.
Oh, no, I don't think we'd be happy to learn that, but it's just it's informational that this isn't going to be the long show that maybe we normally do.
Right.
But your research is always very good, very informative, very entertaining, so don't sell yourself short.
Okay. So, well, then I'm going to get into it then. I really wanted to know and this is partly inspired by Hawkeye, the TV show, right? It came out on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Because in that show, in that series, we got to meet some LARPers who had a good role in the series. And one of them, I think, is going to become a little bit of a sidekick or something to Hawkeye moving forward. So I wanted to know LARPing versus cosplay. Like, what are the differences here? Because as much as I'm in the cosplay world or was, a while ago before I started really podcasting in earnest, LARPing I've never done. But when I saw the Hawkeye show, I felt kind of an affinity to the LARPers, because it's similar, right?
Yeah.
So I went and I looked up some things and I ended up on the website mylarpworld.com. Which helped explain the difference between cosplay and LARPing. So as we've stated, cosplay emulates a character's design. You kind of embody the character with your clothing and your outfit and your accessories. And it's a representation of that character like in pictures or really the eye, and you don't really have to role play if you don't want to. You should practice your poses like we talked about, but you don't necessarily need to act that character like the whole day or something like that. And generally there's no fighting involved unless someone touches you wrong, and then okay, you can fight.
Yes.
Right. But other than that, yeah, it's about the crafting of these costumes. Whereas LARPing, and all I knew about LARPing before is like people would meet in parks and like fight with swords or lightsabers or something. So, yeah. But there's a whole big world about this. LARPing is really, it's role playing your own character. So instead of embodying already a character that you see in TV or film, characters in LARP are really encouraged to be created by the player or a game master.
Like Dungeons and Dragons.
Exactly. It's a lot like Dungeons and Dragons where there's a game master and there's like specific characters that people should be, like specific roles, I guess, right? Like a magician or a magic character or I don't know exactly because I didn't get that deep. But so cosplayers, they aim to replicate a character while LARPers usually draw inspiration from fictional characters, but then create their own characters. And these characters must fit like the genre or the theme of the particular LARP event. So I thought this is cool. It's like, wow, I feel like I should do some LARPing because by doing those mashup characters, we already are kind of on that fence, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever played Dungeons and Dragons?
I have not. I feel like I kind of missed out on that craze. Have you?
Yeah, yes, in the past few years, actually. So I never did as a kid or a younger person, but some people I work with do it and have done it in the past, and we all started sort of talking about it, and then there were a couple of us who had never tried it, were sort of curious about it, and so one of my best friends at work DM'd it. He was the game master. and it was fun. We did it in person a little bit, and then when the pandemic was happening, he brought it back and he said, why don't we use the online version, and we can still do this. And it was fun, and it was fun making your own character. I'm gonna just keep saying yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so I feel like we should try. I would like to try that at some point. So I don't know if they need extra people.
We only did it. We met for like either 4 or 6 times, and completed our campaign. And we haven't picked it back up since then. But it was fun. We have a friend, Christy Morris. She does D&D. I wonder if we should get that group of ladies together and try a little bit. There's actually a web show, I think, a web series of women, just a group of women who do D&D on their own. And a friend of mine, it's the friend of a friend. And I still haven't ever watched it, but it sounded like it was really cool.
Wow. Okay. You'll have to let me know what that is.
Yeah,
because Christy Morris, I think every Friday night she does a D&D thing.
I think so. Yeah.
Go Christy. You'll have to fill us in.
Yeah.
But another aspect to LARPing, which kind of scares me a little bit, is that it has boffer fights, which is foam swords. And we saw a little bit of this on the Hawkeye show, right?
Right.
Hawkeye fought another LARPer and had to lose in front of all his friends. So LARP really embodies more acting, or you're like embodying the character for the whole length of the campaign, which is, that it sounds like fun. It sounds like kind of work too.
Yeah. That sounds, it's so much more involved than just cosplaying or just playing a D&D game.
Right.
Know? Yeah. That's cool.
So we want to know, has any of you done any LARPing? Definitely let us know, send an email to share@skywalkingthrough-neverland.com, because we want to know about more.
Yeah.
So how about you?
Honestly, I would love to learn how to sew better and to fabricate stuff for costumes. A lot of what I do, I don't necessarily make costumes for myself that often, but I make my son's Halloween costume every year, and he is great at challenging me to up my skills in many different ways. But I'm really just a hack who mostly makes his stuff out of polar fleece, because you don't have to hem it. And
yeah, no kidding.
A lot of polar fleece.
It doesn't shred.
It doesn't at all. So a lot of polar fleece and a lot of craft foam.
Oh.
Yeah, but I would love to just even dabble a little bit in, making armor, small pieces of armor, or just fabricating stuff out of things that aren't craft foam and
fabric.
Polar fleece and fabric, yeah. But I also would really like to know how to sew more properly. I'm really very much just let's just drape this fabric this way, and I'll just tack it here and tack it there and move it this way and cut that little piece off, and look, that's close, which is, fine for one wearing, but it'd be fun to have the skills to make it a little, first of all, look better, and second of all, last longer.
Right. Same with I have enough sewing skills that I do a lot of repairs, and you, I do like to find pieces and then enhance them with some sewing, not make a whole thing from scratch. That to me is very daunting.
Yeah, heck yeah. Oh my gosh. Armor, I know there's ways you can make armor, decent armor out of the thicker craft foam.
Right.
Because I actually did do some of that for the most recent costume I made, which was that just last year? I guess it was last year's Oogie Boogie Bash. I made a Sylvie costume from the Loki show, and I made her chest plate. But it was such a hack. And it was a little too small, and but whatever. It still was fun to wear. That one was, that was fun to wear. But I would love to make a better one. Yeah. Well enough. Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's the point. Yeah. You talk about that. I would love to learn how to make leku. so I could be
Yeah.
Ahsoka, right?
Yeah.
But Leiku that looked good.
I know. I cannot tell you how many tutorials on Leiku I have watched or looked at and thought, oh, if only. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. That would just seem like, I've often thought, like, how cool would it be to have Leiku instead of hair? And then you didn't have to worry about your hair.
I know. You didn't have to
you'd
do
have this
it.
amazing headdress.
Yes, just all the time. You've just got this style there that looks great and was natural to you. Yeah, that would be amazing. Seems easier to wash, too.
Yeah, that too. Okay, so that brings us then to our final question, which is, Bryn, what are you excited about regarding cosplay?
I am excited to do some cosplaying or kind of elaborate bounding with my son this year because 2022 we have decided we are going to Star Wars Celebration together and we're going to the D23 Expo also. So he's never been to a convention before and I've only been to the one Star Wars Celebration and I've never been to D23 Expo. So I'm excited about that. We've started talking about costumes and how do we want to dress and that sort of thing. So we're trying to work out what will be, and we're going to try to be from the same fandom on the different days. And I'm just really excited to have a partner in crime in the family to do this. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year, at least.
That is so cool. And I can't wait to see in person what you guys decide to do. Like, that's awesome. Because one of the things I've found, I mean, I started out loving cosplay, and that's what I started out doing in the Star Wars fandom. But since we started the podcast, it's like a whole different level of going to conventions and covering them and things. And you often don't have time to cosplay like we did before. So I do appreciate seeing all these amazing cosplays and stuff like that.
Yeah. I also have a question that's just related to this, but not about this actual question. When you plan your cosplays or your bounds or whatever, how much, especially now that you have the podcast and you're going to be covering things and you're shooting and you're recording and you're meeting people and interviewing people, how much are you focusing on comfort and functionality over what it looks like?
Right. Yeah, much more now, the comfort level of that. Like, and this kind of actually goes into the answer to my question regarding, what I'm excited about. And it was actually most recently, I got to put together a couple's costume for Sweethearts Night at Disneyland that I've been wanting to put together basically since I met Richard. And yes, and this would be Robin Hood and Maid Marian the Foxes from Disney's Robin Hood. And I've always wanted to do those costumes as a couple's cosplay specifically. Because, I could be Robin Hood. I love Robin Hood,
Sure.
the character. But I really wanted to do that. And I love foxes and just having just having Richard be Robin Hood and me as Maid Marian. It was so fun. And so, but we were being sponsored by Small World Vacations and covering the night for them. So we wanted to make sure, and it was going to be in the 50s, almost the 40s that night.
Oh, the temperature.
Cold.
Yeah.
So like normally Robin Hood outfit, it's basically, Robin Hood, the character, has no pants and just a green shirt.
It's a bold choice.
Which obviously that wasn't going to happen. Yeah, right.
Bold choice for a human.
Exactly. So for a human, I love it. Yeah. So for Richard, taking into consideration the comfort of the evening, we had this long sleeve green shirt instead of the short sleeve, which I'd actually made for How to Train Your Dragon character. Yeah. And I had made this costume. He had a green shirt and this like a brown fur vest. Mm-hmm. And so Richard actually ended up wearing that green shirt with a shirt underneath and the brown fur vest. And then also long pants, obviously, for Robin Hood. And so, that took into account his comfort level for the evening. Yeah. And he said that without that brown vest, it would have been very, very cold. obviously. So
Yeah.
yeah. And then for me as Maid Marian, luckily she's got that nice headdress that goes all
that
the
sort
way
of
down
veil.
her. Exactly, the veil that goes all the way down. And I had happened to find a scarf that was the exact color. So I like pinned it, sewed it in such a way to my fox ears that it draped. And then between that and then the 3 layers of, I have this vintage 70s dress that has the look of her outfit. It's more green and it has some pinks on it. It's not purple like her dress, but I put on a purple top over it and then another top underneath. So I had like 3 layers going on plus the veil. So I was pretty toasty at the beginning of the evening. Then I was fine as it went on.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, it looked amazing. You both looked so great. The shape of your dress was so perfect. And
right. That's what I loved about it. I was
yeah. And so romantic and drapey. And especially for you. And also, did you have like a little corsety thing happening too? Or that was just a top?
Kind of. That was actually a top I had bought for a Rapunzel runDisney race. So it was like a yoga top that was purple with like some black design on it. But yeah, I just wore that.
Yeah, it worked perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. So we definitely take a lot of comfort into account now. Like, especially, like, I would never go around as Slave Leia anymore. For one thing, you can't sit in that outfit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah. No. And when I tried to do JediTink the last time, those wings really get in the way when you're trying to like carry things or you know, stuff like it's just you can't really cover an event and be a cosplayer at the same time because it's a little too hard.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. A subtle bound seems like appropriate, but yeah, you can't have wings or a big wig or
or armor, right?
Yeah,
like Mandalorian or something. Yeah, a little too difficult. Cool.
Another thing that I'm looking forward to, though, or that I'm excited about, is just remembering that there's everyday cosplay that can happen. You know, so I think I believe, introduced me to the Her Universe brand originally, and then with finding Elhofer Design, you know, just being able to, even if I'm working from home still for a while, I could, you know, if I'm taking a moment when I'm getting dressed, just put together a little outfit that reminds me of some character that's fun that I could just, for myself, do a little bit of everyday cosplay around the house, or if I'm going out to do that. So, you know, just sort of keep the fun in my everyday clothes a little bit more than I have been.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, those everyday cosplay items that you can get are some of my favorite things. Love it.
Yeah. And I want to find some workout wear that's reminiscent of some character I like too, because I really need to get back. I say like I've done it recently. I need to start moving my body more, and it might be like a motivator for me to put on something that makes me feel like a particular character. So I got to look into that.
Cool. Yeah. If anybody has any ideas, please just shoot us an email, share@skywalkingthroughneverland.com, because I think it really helps to dress as like a superhero when you're working out.
Yeah. I guess I'm looking for underoos for grown-ups.
You know, Hot Topic makes those sometimes.
That is true. I feel like Hot Topic sizes don't fit me so well anymore. I don't know what happened, but
junior sizes.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, so do we have any final thoughts regarding cosplay?
So one of the things that I didn't talk about is that because I was a dancer from age 4 through 17, 18, I wore costumes a lot for performing, right? So being in a costume was sort of just totally normal and my life a lot. And so we definitely have a lot of costume pictures of me wearing dance costumes, but that's not the same as cosplay.
Right. It's a little different. Okay.
Yeah. But, you know, there was another kid costume that I loved too, which was like a fortune teller costume that I just loved. And I had a tambourine that I got to play along with my costume. I love a good accessory, like a meaningful accessory on my costume. I love it.
So I think what I've learned about you now, in sum, that you like really like the details and the accessories, and like I know you know how to jewelry making, right? And
yeah, a bit
to some degree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now what I've learned is that when I need the little fine details to my outfits, I'm calling my friend Bryn.
Yeah. Oh my God, I would love to do something like that for you. With Brave Leia, I found, I didn't make this, but I found it was either a patch or a pin or something I could hang on my backpack or the bag that I used for her, and it was a basketball.
Oh.
And that was because in Hardware Wars, the Leia character, do you know Hardware Wars?
Well, keep going because now
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So Hardware Wars was like a 70s Star Wars spoof that a filmmaker made. It was like on some cable channel a ton when I was a kid. Anyway, we watched it a lot.
Oh, wow.
The Leia character, I forget what her name was, but she had cinnamon buns on her head instead of hair buns.
Right.
Alderaan, her planet that gets blown up, is a basketball. And she calls the planet basketball. And so like I was out somewhere before I finished the costume, and I saw this basketball. I think it was like a charm or something. And I thought, oh my gosh, basketball is a peaceful planet, I think is what her line is. And so I bought it and I attached it to my bag. So like those random, weird little or, very specific touches are things that I really love. So yes, please, 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 I would love to make you something for your next, your next costume need. Yes, exactly.
I love it. Oh, wow. Well, okay. So for Maid Marian, I kind of cobbled together she has a choker with like a blue gemstone, and I kind of cobbled together something from my JediTink outfit. I had like a green thing that I put on a headband and made it a choker.
Oh, yeah, right.
But yeah, I could have enlisted your skills.
Yeah, I would love to. Every once in a while, I've made stuff out of polymer clay,
oh yeah.
And
wow.
like I made the necklace for Brave Leia out of gold polymer clay instead of, her silver necklace from the medal ceremony or whatever that is.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I made it in gold. It wasn't great, but it was close enough. It was really heavy though. Anyway, yeah, I would love to make you something.
That's cool.
Fun stuff.
Yay. Well, okay, so we really want to know, do you guys have like a cosplay story? Have you done any cosplay? Have you done any LARPing or Disneybounding? Have you seen maybe some cosplay that blew you away? So just let us know, because we really want to continue the conversation with you guys. And you can email share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com, or you can post pictures in our Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group. Like we'd love to see it. We'd love to see it, comment. Yay.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what what kind of cosplays they want to do or have done.
Ooh.
Like what mashups are you interested in? Just anything. I don't get to talk about this stuff very often with people, so it'd be great to hear what other people want and like and think about.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for listening. And you can connect with us. We are on Instagram @TotallyTellMeEverything. I am at JediTink.
And I'm at BrynAne.
And you can also find us in the Skywalking Through Neverland Facebook group. And you can email us, like I've said all episode, share@skywalkingthrough.neverland.com. We want to hear your cosplay stories. So we are part of the Skywalking Network.
Skynet.
Where you can find other great shows like Skywalking Through Neverland,
The Neverland Clubhouse,
the Max Effects Podcast,
Star Warsologies,
Classic Marvel Star Wars Comics,
and Collectopolis, the new YouTube show. So come sit by us next time when we'll totally tell you everything about another fun topic.
Were other people like the characters in Mary Poppins?
No. So the show that we did, it was, a lot of studios do the Nutcracker at the holiday time, but we didn't do that. We did Babes in Toyland, the Disney movie. Mm-hmm. So we did a stage version of Babes in Toyland, and Mary Poppins isn't in the movie of Babes in Toyland, but because we had a ton of students that needed to be fit into the show, our teacher just kind of adapted it and just kept adding characters to the town in Babes in Toyland. So we had a lot of characters that wouldn't have been normally in it, and one of those was Mary Poppins.
Like a lobster and a whale and an octopus. There was more than one lobster at the birth of Jesus Christ. Sorry, okay. Love Actually.
Yay! What we should cosplay this week? What do you or Disneybound? What are you going to Disneybound this week?
What am I gonna
on the spot? Yeah.
Yeah, you put me on the spot.
What can you throw together?
Fantasia Mickey.
Cool.
I love Fantasia Mickey. Although I actually might. I told Richard when I made his Robin Hood hat, I'm like, I'm going to steal that. I'm going to be Robin Hood because I want to be Robin Hood.
Seriously. That's awesome.
Yay. What about you?
I haven't pulled out my Her Universe dress that is, oh my God, what's her name?
Oh, I know who you're talking. The gray one? The gray dress?
Yeah. Holdo. Admiral Holdo.
Yes.
Yeah,
the Holdo maneuver.
The Holdo maneuver. Yes, I'm not going to do that, but I would like to dress. Maybe I'll pull that dress out and wear it this week if because it's supposed to be warm this week, so I might be able to get away with that because it's pretty thin.